TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Thursday, June 16th, 2016. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please go to CATEX TV. Well, finally, it does seem as if the Egyptians have spotted and obtained images from the wreckage of the Egypt Air plane that crashed in the Mediterranean last month. All 66 people on board were killed. The Egyptian government is saying that a vessel operated by an American company, Deep Ocean Search, under contract with the Egyptian government, had, quote, identified several main locations of the wreckage. They've obtained images of the wreckage on the ocean floor between the island of Crete and the Egyptian coast. There's still no indication yet that the potentially vital flight data and cockpit voice recorders have been found, although earlier evidence indicates that a French ship has picked up electronic signals from the flight data recorders. The next step now will be drawing a map showing the wreckage location and then actually going down to retrieve it. Leaked flight data indicates that a sensor had detected smoke in a lavatory, as well as a fault in two of the plane's cockpit windows in the final moments before the flight. Egypt's civil aviation minister said that he believes terrorism is a more likely explanation than equipment failure, although there's no evidence either way. Global central banks are sounding the alarm over the risks posed by a British departure from the European Union, as polls in England continue to show that the Leave campaign is ahead, with a week to go before the election next Thursday, the referendum next Thursday. Yesterday, in a day of comments, the heads of the U.S. Federal Reserve, the Bank of Japan, the Bank of Canada, and the Swiss National Bank all cited the referendum on EU membership as being potentially disruptive to the global economy. The Bank of Japan said central banks are in contract over a so-called Brexit, and the Bank of England has repeated its warnings on the risks in its final monetary policy decision before the vote that occurred today. They left their interest rates unchanged. With almost all polls showing the Leave campaign in the lead, investors are focused on how financial guardians at the central banks can stem market panic if the UK takes such a step. Officials stressed that liquidity facilities left over from the recession of 2008 and onward are still available to stabilize their respective currencies. However, the pound would be regarded as all but lost. The pound dropped to a 2-month low yesterday. It's now at about $1.40 per pound, or a pound equals $1.40, I should say. And in the event of a Brexit, economists are expecting that the Bank of England will cut borrowing costs at its July meeting, so the pound would be expected to plummet even further. Global equities have lost more than $2 trillion over the past week. Having just returned from London yesterday, I can tell you that the whole country is on a knife edge, because the reality is finally dawning on the financial sector that, in fact, the referendum could, in fact, vote to leave the EU. It will have significant consequences, one of which will be American International Group would consider relocating its head office to somewhere else in Europe if the Brexit goes through. This is according to its CEO, Peter Hancock, who spoke at a briefing in London yesterday. He said, if a Brexit should occur, I suspect we'll need a hub within the EU, and there are some excellent choices, some of which we've examined. He also confirmed that AIG is one of the few businesses now to publicly confirm that it has a contingency plan in place should the British vote to leave. The thinking in London is that Dublin would be well poised to pick up most of the business, the insurance and reinsurance business, that will flood out of London in the event of an exit. Tom Bolt, the former performance director at Lloyd's, was speaking at a conference sponsored by Verisk in London on Tuesday. Bolt is now the president of Berkshire Hathaway Specialty Insurance Southern Europe Group. He said he believes that explicit cyber risk language will be included within policies, all policies, within 5 years that will specifically address whether cyber exposures are included or excluded. He said every policy will have language to specifically deal with the situation. His fears right now is the extent to which cyber exposures may be covered by policies without underwriters even realizing it. He said tackling the lack of language to address cyber inclusion or exclusion within many policies should be critical for the market in the coming years. He said, quote, if your policy is silent on cyber, you are going to face the likelihood that eventually it could be determined that it does in fact include it. Swiss Re came out with a study yesterday saying that severe flood events in Canada could lead to more than $13 billion in losses, with less than half of that actually covered by insurance. Swiss Re used a flood model to simulate flood loss generated by both river flooding and torrential rainfall in Canada. The forecasts are based on a 1 in 200 year loss scenario. It estimates that residential homes in Canada would remain financially unprotected or only marginally protected from the effects of flooding because only about 1/3 of Canadian homes actually have flood insurance. Swiss Re said Canada is the only G7 country that currently does not have flood insurance broadly available. Power is out to about 25 to 35% of downtown St. Louis as we speak after an underground electrical fire occurred last night. A high voltage cable failed. An explosion caused other underground circuits to fail, and most of the electricity went out. About 2,100 customers, mainly businesses in the downtown area, are out of power. 15 generators have been brought in to try to replicate some semblance of normalcy. The local utility is estimating that full power is going to be restored sometime this afternoon. There was a 5.3 earthquake that struck the northern city of Hakodate in Hokkaido, Japan earlier today. The earthquake registered in the lower sixes on the Japanese seismic scale of 7. No tsunami warnings have been issued. None of the nuclear power plants in the area reported any abnormalities. And Hokkaido Railway Company said that the Shinkansen trains and regular railway services are still running. According to the Japanese government, an earthquake at a lower 6 level is of such magnitude that people are not able to remain on their feet, and heavy furniture may move or fall down during a lower 6 earthquake. So despite the fact that there was no disruption, it was quite a jolt. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.